Did you know that from 1979 to 1999, our world population doubled from 3 billion to 6 billion people? And then from 1999 to 2019, it's only increased to 1.5 billion. We had this real big boom for some reason in the last 20 years of the last century. I don't quite know why. I was born in that time frame. All my friends and family, my sister, my siblings, all this stuff, they were all born in that time frame. 3 billion people now more on this planet than there were from 1979 to the end of the century. And yet now birth rates are plummeting in the United States. They fall to the lowest level in 32 years. That's right. Cute little babies like this one on the screen aren't existing as much. And I say this as a guy with one year and a half old and another one on the way coming in later this summer. So, birth rates might be falling, but apparently I've got decent sperm. So shit. Anyway, it says here that the number of babies born in the United States in 2018 fell to the lowest level in 32 years, according to a government report. The numbers are part of a decades-long trend toward fewer and fewer babies being born each year, which means we're getting further and further away from the possibility of having enough children to replace ourselves, according to the CDC. Well, we could always just import, right? This is what Trump doesn't realize. Don't build a wall. We're going to run out of people. I'm kidding. Obviously, I'm kidding. But no, it's true. People, we have a lot of people. There was a 3 billion person increase. And eventually, people are living longer now. So who's going to be replacing us? Well, doesn't that kind of answer the question of what's going to happen when everything becomes automated, right? Who's going to have the jobs? Well, we're not going to have enough people coming in to that is going to be a problem, I guess. Anyway, the major finding is that the fertility rates are reaching record lows, reports the lead author Brady Hamilton, a statistician and demographer from CDC's National Health Center statistics. There have been record lows in the teenage birth rate, which fell 7% compared to 2017. Oh my God, teens are not having kids. I don't know about you, but I'm kind of okay with that. And I know that it's weird, the millennial Gen Z culture situation, at least millennials from what we know about them, there's always those articles, millennials are ruining everything, except they're not ruining sex because they're not having it. Even though Tinder exists as a strict hookup app, not a relationship app, but like a, hey, yo, you down to smash pelvises? That kind of app. They're being more careful and they're not having unprotected sex, which quite frankly, I'm okay with. I'm okay with that. I want more people to have sex, obviously, but do it safely until you're ready to have kids. But people these days are they're not doing it as much. Now, Hamilton and his colleagues found that a total number of births in 2018 at 3,788,235 was down 2% from 2017. The general fertility rate for 2018 was 59 births per 1,000 women aged 15 to 44, another record low in the United States. So are you saying you want women under the age of 15 to start popping out kids? Because that's a big no-no. Now, the CDC research didn't explain why birth rates are declining. Well, I think we can understand that. Okay, here's my theory on that one. Okay, I look at it as as a scarcity issue, right? Or as a necessity issue. So back in the day, when the homesteaders we're coming to this country, they're coming out west and they're like, we are going to get this farm. I don't know why they're Scottish, but they're or whatever. And then they get like 15 kids. The kids all work the farm and that's how it works, right? That's how it works. Or they're really religious and religious people, want to boost out their numbers and whatnot. But really it's like the farm thing. There's not a necessity for having more than a couple kids. You don't need to have more than a couple kids. And a lot of people out there, I think, realize that now. And then they're also doing it later and later because they got stuff to do. They want a career. They want to make sure that they're prepared. They notice that the job market is not really the best for millennials right now. And the gender studies degree that many of them go after aren't going to get them a job anywhere else. So there's them. That's my theory on it, at least. Now, there are some good news in the report. Fewer babies are being born to teens. That is very good news. In fact, there are record lows for teenage birth rates. This year's rate is 7% lower than in 2017. And was there an MTV Teen Mom this year? No, good. So then babies weren't being born to be used as reality TV show pawns. I'm happy about that. Overall, the report finds that younger women are having fewer babies, with the only demographic seeing an increase in birth rates is women in their late 30s and early 40s. Why is that? Well, honestly, if I'm, I think feminism is a big part of that, to be honest with you. I do. I think feminism. I think it's that I don't need to have a baby now. I can have a baby later. And there's nothing wrong with that. You got one life. And if your life it boils down to being there strictly for your children because you have no other ambitions in your life other than popping out babies because you think that's your only value, that's kind of sad. And look, I'm not knocking women or people who have kids, and you love your kids. I love my kids, but it's like I have ambitions. My girlfriend has ambitions. She wants to be a mom. She loves being a mom. I love being a dad. We have our own ambitions, and I feel like a lot of people out there don't have those ambitions. But they feel like having kids is the only thing that they can do. And I've met people that are like that. I know people in my personal life that are like that. And I feel bad because I'm like, no. Everyone should go out and follow their dreams. This shouldn't be your life, because what happens when the kids leave? What happens when it hits 18 to 25 years and they go off to college or they go do something else and they leave? What's going to happen then? Then you're going to be stuck in your 40s, 50s or 60s or whatever. And you're not going to have anything to do. You're not going to have anything that you can fall back on. And as the older generation gets older and more things become automated and life changes, it's going to be hard for them to find work. And Walmart did get rid of their greeters. I'm just saying, there's a lot that goes into those sort of things. Now, the pattern seems an increase. The pattern seen in the U.S. echo what's been happening in many other developed countries. A professor at Columbia Mailman School of Public Health says, for comparison, the total fertility rate in Europe is 1.58. In Southern Europe, meaning Spain and Italy, it's 1.3. And in Japan, it's 1.44. So this is not unprecedented. Now, Japan is definitely having problems. I personally blame anime, hentai, and waifu pillows is my personal blame for that one. No, video games are not the problem. Video games are never the problem. They're a perfect little angel who didn't do nothing. They a good boy. But no, in this case, really, these countries are having problems, specifically Japan. That's a big one. But apparently it's Spain and Italy is now a lot lower. I didn't know that. That's news to me. I don't get it. Italians are very expressive. I thought Italians, they like to get it down and they like to pump uglies. I thought that's what they like to do. I thought that's what they like. Apparently not. Apparently I don't know what's happening in Italy right now. Maybe they need another Mussolini to kind of spice things up a bit. Anyway, still, there are hints in this new report that the current trend could at least partially reverse itself. So not all is lost. It's perhaps not as gloom and doom as some might think. She points to the increase in number of babies being born to women in the late 30s and early 40s, which she sees as a possible sign that the fertility rate could recover eventually. It's possible that women who have been postponing pregnancy may have the babies they were planning to have, and that could reverse the trend. But another person, Dr. Helen Kim, says maybe not. She says, as a fertility specialist, I worry that delaying childbearing will result in more fertility problems. And, here's the thing. I get that. I do get that, right? So it's like my girlfriend is 37 and pregnant with our second child, and she was worried about that. She was like, my eggs are going to dry up when I turn 40. Like, that's not the case. You can watch this really good Adam Ruins Everything video or episode about fertility rates. And there are women I know that have had babies into their 40s, and they have, healthy kids, right? So it's like, it can happen. And women, I don't know if not all women want children, not all women, whatever, it is their choice, but it's like, it can happen. If it's happening in their 30s and their 40s, it might delay things a little bit, but it also kind of gives us that spread for the older generation to die off and then let the new population grow. It's like deforestation, you know what I mean? It's like, or logging, let's call it population logging. How about that? Right. The older trees, they get cut down. I don't know what you would turn them into. Ash, dust, I don't know, whatever. And then they plant the new ones and you have the time for it to kind of grow. It's a terrible analogy. But I think I make my point here. I would like there to be good population rates, but we also do need to worry about the fact that resources are eventually going to become limited in this world. And there are non-renewable energy resources that are being used at exceptional rates. And I know people out there are going to say, what's the point of caring about any of this stuff when the other countries don't care about this stuff? But it's like, we still got to try to figure out our own shit too. There's like what, 2 billion people in India? Is that where it's at now? I mean, like, there are places out there that are way different than the United States that are going to have their own problems here in the next 20, 30 years. And, and I don't know what's going to happen with them. But I can, if the population gets to be too big, it's going to be bad. It's going to be bad. And not enough aid in the world is going to take care of that. And we're going to see, I don't know, maybe a purge like situation happen, which I don't want. But you know what? These population centers keep growing and growing and growing and growing, and eventually it's going to hit a tipping point. So I think maybe some people have looked at that, subconsciously, and they just decided to stop popping out kids as a way to keep the world from ending. But I could be wrong. It could just be, well, there's just too much good shit to watch on Netflix.